Well, how are you?
It's
Likewise.
The accents shift,
yeah, you just
the attitudes shift. Never sharp.
I know that's the name, but it doesn't hurt me. That would be the colors.
here. Probably a very expensive. Yeah, switching between floors. Oh, that would help. I'd rather they just.
I know. I could switch the living room.
Well, that's true. That's true.
Late library.
Yes.
Nice to see you not in the airport.
The just.
Another one who just I lost a day going out and it took 2 days to get back. So you have to have a fire lane. You have to be able to get out there.
Well, you know, I'm going against a good product, but.
Yeah, my gap here needs a first, you know, she didn't go back in her industry office, so she's like texting me all day yesterday. Abby's supposed to be there this summer on a grant in Maytown. In the school systems area. She's like, all right, well, I'm not going to comment on that. Except there's part of me that understands that.
So things are going well.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? I forgot about that.
Yep. Intern for
Yeah, we brought it on for a couple of days. Oh, really? Yeah. You did? Oh, really?
Well, my brother's
That's right. Yeah.
law school.
Did you have a good vacation? Here.
Thinking about it.
That's right. It might be a year you were. I know you were in Italy.
I'd like to go somewhere.
I was saying to Jim, I think that
Thank you. Appreciate it.
looking at, let's just say, that are actually separating inside of the other. I was freaking out. Really kind of put it past me like 5 days ago because you get up at that breakfast looking it's dramatic. It's like in World War II, Ravello, where we were, there were just 4 German soldiers left with a big gun. They had the job of the Allied Navy or came because they were so far up that they could shoot out and create a lot of disturbance. You can see why, and then the American people
Well, they have so much time. This is
it sounds like there was like that I was
That's just good sense.
You guys are pretty chummy over there.
for our don't sure that was
So, Joe, Jeff and I decided to so we have, so what does it say? It's about
to the right is unmuted. Okay.
I think we should be good. 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 Yes. Just to make sure.
All set. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this morning. I'm Glenn Cummings, the president here. Just wanted to just in case, you never know, and no presumptions. We're honored to welcome today the Chancellor and his team. We appreciate everybody coming out. We also have members of our Board of Trustees, our UMaine System Board of Trustees, and a USM student, Trevor Hustis, who's with us as well. So thank you. Today, the focus, we're going to have the Chancellor speak this morning and talk a little bit about some of the things that we've talked about. As you know, in December, there was a document put out by the Board of Trustees really setting in motion kind of an action plan about how we operate together as a UMaine system, specifically around some deliverables to the Maine people. And they outlined a series of deliverables that are focused on things like workforce development, which is something near and dear to our hearts here at USM. Also talked about how we can improve our research. It talked about ways in which we add more value specifically to fundamental economic needs, but also had comprehensive educational skill sets that we, I think, all believe in for the whole UMaine system. So a good chunk of what Jim's going to talk about today is going to be around that, and so we'll pass that on. I just want to say this may be the last time that Jim's with us.
Last scheduled time.
Last scheduled time. Okay. Well, we know
So
how
if I
that
show up
goes.
again,
After being away for a few days, I noticed on my calendar suddenly Chancellor wanted to talk to me at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, Monday coming back. I was like, that's never a good thing. But anyway, just this is a good opportunity for me to say thank you to Jim. Thank you. Jim, as many of you know, has had incredible challenges, and with that has incredible successes. I mean, if you think about the things that he faced just here at USM, we gave him a pretty good run right here. Very difficult financially. Yeah, you can tell he's appreciative of all the things we were able to offer him, but that's a pretty big challenge. obviously the financial difficulties, not just here, but in other universities across the system. Navigating how to handle legislature that changed multiple times over the course of his 7 years or so. So it really is, it speaks really highly, I think, of him that he managed that so well. One obviously major accomplishment, just to embarrass you a little bit, is that he actually put all of our back-end services together, which from a taxpayer's point of view, from an average citizen's point of view, would say, why haven't you done that before? But it doesn't mean it was easy. And obviously Ryan and some of the other folks here with us today really helped make that happen. That's a major achievement, and he's also really set the stage for the next level of where the UMaine system might go, really around how we even unify our academics at a more comprehensive level. So we owe a lot to Jim, not an easy few years, and definitely did a lot to help us. So with our welcome, that I'll pass it over to him, please join me also in saying thank you to the hard work that he's done.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And a number of times I've stood right in this spot, more or less than 3 or 4 feet, and looked out at various crowds of faces, and some of them smiling, and some of them grinning, as opposed to a smile, the grinning of, I'm figuring you out. Well, but in any event, it's been a great opportunity. It's been a great honor, and the change that has come over the University of Southern Maine in the last 7 years since I took over, I know it's been tough. And for those of you who've gone through it, I'm sure there were days where it was like, what the hell? But hard choices were made. Hard work was done by the community. You've turned an amazing corner. And now, thanks to you folks, thanks to your colleagues, thanks to the leadership of Glenn, you can't go anywhere in Greater Portland and Southern Maine, and increasingly throughout Maine. And where you used to hear what's going on, now you hear what great things are going on. How do we make more of that happen? I want to spend a few minutes on that. I want to spend a few minutes going over what's happening at the legislature. And I'd like to leave a few minutes just for Q&A about where questions are, things are going on. I still owe the trustees a report on some final recommendations that's part of that December deliverable, so I'm still working on that, and I'm anxious to hear from people on ideas and where people think things are going. I do want to say, I think people know everybody, but just in case, Ryan Lowe, Vice Chancellor for Finance and Administration, Kim Jenkins, who's in my Office of Organizational Effectiveness, Kay Kimball, who is the Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs, and Bob Neely could not be here today, and Jim Thalen, General Counsel and my Chief of Staff. And they've been, many of you have worked with them a lot more even than me, and you know their commitment to this institution as well as to the system as a whole. So let's talk briefly first just about the legislature and see where we're going there, so we can bracket that and then talk more about the next steps. We are in very good shape with respect to the governor's budget. We're in for currently, as the budget currently stands, 3% for each of the 2 years of the biennial budget. That's a good, healthy cost of living plus increase, and in this day and age, we're very thankful to the governor for having that be a centerpiece of that. In addition, we have some money that is earmarked. I'm not sure if that's technically the right term, but it's in there specifically for advancing early college, which has been a huge success throughout the state. We've had an increase where about 5 years ago we may have had 700 students roughly throughout the state involved in some form of early college. Now it's more than 3,000, and we're well on our way to hitting that 5,000 student target, which would represent 20% of our high school juniors and seniors across the state. That's a great percentage, too bad about the number, right? Because there's not a lot of students coming through the K-12 pipeline now, which makes the second earmark, if you will, even more critical, and that is substantial new monies coming in that would support adult degree completion. And that can be, as you know, given the average age of students on your campuses, what that means in terms of opportunity, in terms of attracting, in terms of working with older students, and bringing them into the educational framework and advancing their opportunities. And that's going to be a critical piece of how the entire system works in the coming years. And with you folks, because of your centrality to the greater population of the state, that's going to be even a larger element in how you move forward. You know the numbers. Maine's demography is atrocious. We're the oldest state in the country. We're going to have a 15% drop in our working age population over the next 11 years. If we got every one of our K-12 students a 2-year or 4-year degree or a credential of value as that's being worked out, we'd still get only halfway towards closing the attainment gap of 60% of adults having some meaningful form of post-secondary attainment. So if we don't engage with adults, if we don't engage successfully with adults, that's going to, the cost to the state, economically of course, but socially, will be enormous. And it's the largest, in my mind, as I leave, it's the largest, greatest threat we face as a state, but that also means it's the largest opportunity that we have in higher ed to advance the interests of the state in the next decade or more. That's reflected in the trustee document in December, which I'll come back to in just a moment. But you should read that document heavily and understand that and interpret that document heavily against that demographic, economic, social backdrop that I just outlined. Now, the other things that are going on at the legislature, there's a number of, I think the budget, if the governor's budget is very sound. The only challenge that I see to it right now is that there are a lot of spending initiatives that were not included in the budget that are now being considered by the legislature. If a critical mass of those, a large mass of those passes, the governor has pledged, and she's reiterated this on a number of occasions, that there will be no new taxes in the first, at least in the first biennium. So the pot is fixed, if you will. So if the legislature passes a large number of new spending initiatives, that money is going to have to come from existing sources. And frankly, there are only two major pots of existing sources, DHHS and education. And in education, K-12 is, it's unlikely that that's going to be heavily hit in anything. So we have some exposure there. The challenge here is this is not good versus bad or anything like that. All of these interests, all of these efforts that the legislature is trying to deal with are important. So it's a matter of setting and arguing for our priorities, and that's what we're doing. That's the strategy we will keep, and we're working day in and day out with the legislature, with appropriations, with leadership, and with the governor. I am cautiously optimistic, but I want to emphasize that word caution just because there are a lot of moving parts that will fall into place in the next 4 to 8 weeks. But they're still moving. In back of that, there are a number of bills which, while not directed at us, impact us indirectly because we are subject. If there is an increase in minimum wage, if there are increases in, if the family leave, whatever form of the family leave passes, in the resetting the floor or the ceiling, whichever way you put it, between exempt and non-exempt, exempt and non-exempt employees, exempt and non-exempt with respect to overtime. Any one of those, and again, I'm not going to comment on whether these are good policies or not. You could have a debate across the board on that. What is of concern is if they all pass in their most aggressive, I'm not sure what the right term is, but in their most expensive form. That would have a very, very significant impact on our ability to invest. It could wipe out all of the advances we're making in the budget otherwise. So any one of those, two of those, and you take them individually, they look reasonable, we can adapt, we can adjust, and that's true. But if you take them all as a group, that will become problematic. So we're working with leadership and the governor and others to recognize that fact, to have an impact on it, and help to shape that debate. The other piece is there are some other labor bills which have an effect on us. We are working those. You'll have read about some of those in the paper, including public unions' right to strike, arbitration, and others. that's a little bit in the weeds. If you want to talk about that during Q&A, we can do that, but we are tracking all of those as part of this, as this session goes on. They're set to end in June. I hope they do, because I'm supposed to have the budget, our part of the budget, fixed by the time I step down at the end of June. So it's a race. We'll see how it goes. So I think all in all, the other thing that's very important and will impact this institution probably in an overweighted way is that it's a different administration, different times, different relationships. And we are setting up very active, formal and active relations with the agencies to rebuild some of what used to be the case in previous years and to investigate new opportunities. So for example, DOE under Commissioner Macon we've set up an operational liaison group directly with my office. Bob Neely is going to run that with her deputy commissioner, and they will build out from there, but let's start an ongoing and formal way to have a dialogue around issues involving the two largest educational systems in the state, K-12 and us, and we're bringing community college into that as well. Right off on the agenda will be, the agenda they're starting to talk about will be early college and teacher preparation, and it will build from there. The important thing is we have an ongoing, regular dialogue with their offices moving forward. We are starting the same thing with DHHS, with Commissioner Lindbrew, and Ryan Lowe is forming an operational group with her so that she has access to all of the resources in sort of a one-stop shopping way. We set up hopefully what we'd like to do is set up a master MOU so that she or her people can reach directly out to you or your colleagues at other campuses and say, I need help, I need information, I need consulting. You don't have, and it'll all be set up, and all you need to do is do something very bureaucratically simple, and you can move on from there. And we are looking at we have a similar relationship and work being set up with DECD, and we're looking at a couple of other agencies as well. We just haven't yet had time. So a new and more intimate relationship with the agency level. We've always had strong relationships, even through the last administration, with the executive branch and with leadership individually, but this starts to build in and rebuild, in some instances, that operational levels between the agencies and us. And by the way, I just noticed Chip he was not sitting over. He did not self-segregate. Chip Gavin from my office, who's, as many of you know, is in strategic procurement and facilities. So that's the situation at the legislature. Lots more will fall into place in the next 8 weeks or so. Believe me, we rely a lot on your president, both for his experience, expertise, and willingness to roam the halls with us to help on all of these processes. Any quick questions on the legislative piece? And I'm going to shift. Okay. The work, if you go back and look at the December declarations, it is, as I said, you best understand that against the backdrop of the demographic, and really the demographic numbers. They are scary, right? We have fewer high school graduates in the state than, well, let me put it a different way, a more favorite way. If you take all the public school students in the state of Maine, every one of them, K through 12, it is smaller than the senior class of the New York City school system. Okay? We're not a rounding error in these respects. So our solutions to these demographic problems have to be encompassing. They have to be statewide. We cannot afford fragmentation, whether by intent or by design. And the ability to do two things is going to be paramount on that. There's a couple others as well, but two will jump right out. One, and they're related. One is educational attainment. You know that we have a 3.4% unemployment rate in the state, which is in one level terrific. You may also know, especially if you go on into any of the employment sectors, there are thousands of job openings right now in the state. Good, most of them really good jobs. We are underskilled, undernumbered, and underskilled and underprepared for the economic transformations that the state is going through as part of the general thing, what's going on in the country, but also because, being the oldest state in the nation, every month, hundreds of Maine people retire with 20, 30, 40 years of experience in their fields. And they're walking out with institutional knowledge, with the ability to keep old systems going, which we've never replaced or updated, and all the rest of that. There is literally, in some instances, the professions and the professional organizations in the state they don't know how they're going to maintain adequate services at the professional level that's expected in the future. If you have some doubt about that, talk to school principals and school superintendents about the challenges they're having about attracting and retaining qualified teachers, especially in the rural part of the state. And you can roll right out from there what the impacts of those will be. So educational attainment, but I don't want to be all gloom and doom here on my last day, right, on this. We have much we can do. We have enormous, and importantly, to repeat a point I cited earlier, if we don't do it, no one else will. And increasingly, state government, business leaders, and others recognize that fact, and they are coming to us. They are coming to you. They are coming to your colleagues and say, help us solve these problems. We have the opportunity to impact this, and we can do it. It won't be easy. It won't be straightforward, and in many cases, it won't be business as usual. It will allow us to do that. But we are absolutely set up from a position of uniquely having the skills, the capacities, the experiences, and the mission to impact these pieces and move them forward. I'm very hopeful, and I think that these relations we're building with the state agencies are reflective of that, rather than just be, we'll all sit in our sides of the silos and criticize one another. No, let's roll up our sleeves and work together and really drive the big outcomes. And you will see in that December report from the trustees that those big outcomes are all defined externally, as they should be for a public institution. How many Maine people and people from out of state or even out of the country are we bringing to Maine? Are we helping get into and helping get through the educational pipeline and helping them establish their next steps of their careers or the beginnings of their careers in Maine? That's a huge, huge opportunity and responsibility that no one else can do, and you are set up to do that with good work. Right there with educational attainment, getting those people up, and there's a lot of sub-work in there, and Kay or others can speak to this about, and many of you have been working on this, to what degree are credentials, something other than degrees, going to play a role in this? I think that's going to be a big element, especially for adult populations. All of that will change how we think of some of our basic work. The degree, in my mind, the degree is not about to be replaced, but it is about to be supplemented by a major element of other kinds of education which will fall into this. You'll see right in back there a great emphasis on the phrase workforce. And I know there's some pushback on that, we don't want to identify universities simply with a workforce training initiative. And I agree with that. And the trustees agree with that as well. And maybe workforce needs to be replaced by a different term, but none of us have got one at the moment. I'll buy you lunch if you can come up with it. What really needs to happen is just the build out on what I mentioned earlier. We need thousands more nurses. We need thousands more teachers. We need thousands more engineers, et cetera. And we don't need them 10 years from now. We need them now. And every semester, every half year that goes by that we're not ramping up that pipeline, the Maine economy, Maine communities suffer as a result of that. So workforce is an inevitable piece of that, but don't overplay that word, because, and I've heard a fair amount of criticism. Well, what about the liberal arts? What about the humanities, et cetera, et cetera? Legitimate question, and a legitimate question especially with that phrase sitting right in front of you. But the trustees well understand the skill sets that all of And the skill set's not just in terms of workforce, but in terms of being an engaged citizen, an informed citizen, an informed member of an active member of your community, however you define your social communities, et cetera, if not literally in terms of your municipalities. They understand that the roles, that the essential civic role that all of those kinds of trainings are part of our responsibility in training in educating the citizenry of Maine. Does it help that those same skills then translate well into places of employment? The fact that you can communicate, think critically, work in teams, et cetera? Of course it does. Of course it does. But that's not the exclusive route that it takes to be there. So those are the two main, if you look at those two main topics in the December declarations, those are the outlines of what you'll see. You should expect in the foreseeable future, and I mean that in the coming years, a continued emphasis on those. I don't know, as is quite proper, I'm fairly isolated from the search process for my successor, but I know these are the issues that the trustees and the others are working with the candidates to articulate, to plan for, and move forward with. The other pieces on that, the other two major items that are in that report, which also reflect back on previous work that the trustees have done, and we've all done. One is the understanding and the emphasis on research and the core, the foundational work that either both basic and applied research brings to the state of Maine. And it's great to see Chris and Terry right in the back there who have been right at the forefront. Chris Ahanchuk, Terry Shahada, I think you all know them, who have been right at the forefront of making sure that USM is at the table as these elements and these things are discussed. I'm very appreciative of the work that they've done with me over the years, keeping me informed on that as well. They might not say that everything is just as it should be, but we're working and we're on the move. And we'll work together on that. The good thing about this, again, is businesses and Augusta, the political community in Augusta, really do understand, are really coming to understand, and many of them do, the critical role, not just in education, but that research and scholarship plays in advancing the state. And so we are actually having very active discussions about how do we increase MEIF funds? How do we expand those? How do we look for other sources to bring in more resources to continue that forward? And then the fourth thing, of course, is that we've made enormous progress at great cost to right our fiscal ship and to set up a structure within that which will minimize the chances of falling back into the kind of crisis mode we were in 5-6 years ago. It can always happen, but it minimizes that chance. And if that's done through long-term planning and careful resource allocation, and those things are not going to, trustees are not going to change those, the basic direction of that. And that's enormous. You folks you understand better than anybody, and I'm making corner eye contact with Jeannie, your provost, Jeannie Nuzzi here. You understand the cost, and not just in terms of dollars, of what happens when what looks like a small problem in year 1 becomes an existential crisis in year 5. That can never happen again. But we've got the process in place now, and we've got the people populating those places and those processes with Ryan, Alex joined you, and others who are you should have every confidence that those, if that starts to even, because things are always moving. So if there's ever a chance that that's going to start appearing again, the red flags are going to go up way before it becomes something that we can't readily address and readily handle. So I think there's a lot of the state of Maine has these challenges. They're just facts of life. We are a critical, unique, critical, essential, I'm not even sure of the terms, element in that solution. And it's too bad we have the issues, but we do. We're not alone in that in this world. And I have every confidence when I come July, when I'm private citizen, and I'm looking on and cheering you all on again on this, that you're going to continue to move in the right direction on this, which is not to say it'll be easy and straightforward. It won't be. But you're in great shape, and I will be cheering you on. And with that, I'm going to stop there and see if Glenn wants to add anything, and we'll just throw it open for comments or questions.
Nope, I'm good for the questions. Thank you.
To any of us, or to each other. Yeah, please, we are being beamed elsewhere, so please use the mic.
No, I probably want to be behind the camera, so anyway. Terry Shahada, Chancellors, thank you very much and good luck on your retirement. And I do appreciate the level of conversation that you've had with Chris and I to discuss research and development and USM's role in there. I do have to say that in the past 3 or 4 years with Glenn's and Janine's leadership, the concept of research and scholarship and creative activity have become an important element of who USM is really about as we embark on a journey to really impact workforce development and address the community's needs. As you had mentioned, there is, I think, an effort to complete a research and development strategic plan for the system is about ready to be presented if it has not been presented to the board. USM has been part of that discussion, but I must say, and I don't know if you've heard about that, we are really frustrated by the lack of recognition and misrepresentation of the University of Southern Maine in the strategic plan. In particular, and I'm a graduate of the University of Maine. I love the institution. But when I hear a comment, read a comment that says that the University of Maine is the only publicly supported research institution in Maine, that gets my attention. USM is also a major research institution, not at the level of the University of Maine, but in its own right, and it's getting mischaracterized in the plan. We're comparing apples and oranges because we're a little bit different than the other institutions. And my concern is that although we get recognition outside of the system, we're not recognized within the system in the appropriate fashion that we should be. And I'm not necessarily calling you out because you know who we are. I'm suggesting that perhaps the board really doesn't understand what USM is about. I'm not even sure the board has even heard what USM's research portfolio looks like and how combining us with the same criteria of research and development that the University of Maine is characterizing itself is a complete, is an alternative use of the word fact. It's not appropriate. So I leave that to you and certainly to members of the board that this is a crucial item for the University of Southern Maine for it to continue to be a major contributor to the system and to the community that we serve with an emphasis on applied research because we do not do much basic. We do a lot of applied. We take the knowledge that exists and apply it in the community that the community asks us to do. All right, so that's the only comment that I have to make. We have a long way to go, but I think it's important that to put it in context of what USM is about. And it's not to be combined under a different criteria or different definition because it's not going to work. And my concern, and I expressed that to Glenn, and I believe to you, Janine, if I have not, I apologize, is that if that plan is adopted based on the misrepresentation of the University of Southern Maine, and when it comes to securing public supported funds from the legislature to implement parts or all of that plan, the way it stands, our concern is that it might use a current definition in the plan to allocate the funds, which means USM is not going to be properly represented or invested in. So that's an issue. It's real. I do hope that you take that into account as a report is really provided to the board for discussion. I would certainly hope that the Board of Trustees would at least allow the University of Southern Maine to explain what it's all about from top to bottom and including what the research and scholarship and creative activity really means to the institution and to the system as a major contributor to economic development. With that, I end my speech.
Can I just add a couple of quick? First of all, I just want, for those people who are watching via live stream, you can send questions to usm.president@maine.edu, usm.president maine.edu. So if you're watching from another site of our 3 campuses, please send in. Can I just pick up on Terry's concern? It is a major concern with us. There is, if you've read that report, I know you have, there are some things that don't set well when said out loud, and we disagree with here at USM when it says UMaine Orono is the sole research institution of the UMaine. That is so incorrect and it's misleading. Now I understand there's a definition they're trying to use. Let me just suggest, just in Cutler alone, $40 million worth of research is going on at this university, and let me just lift the rug up on that. Those issues that are in that next building are the issues that the Maine legislature, Maine leaders, Maine governor, Maine citizens are most concerned about. I'm all in favor of bench research. I don't think Orono on a good day is going to be able to beat Michigan or University of or Georgia Tech on bench research, but they should be doing it. It's important. It's helpful to our agriculture. It's helpful to our maritime. But look at the issues that USM is wrestling with right now at this hour in that building next door at Cutler. Things like healthcare, rural access in hospitals, opioid addiction, tourism and hospitality, how to do economic development. Those are the issues that are at the cutting edge of Maine. And in that report, we are so pushed down in terms of the respect that it is a significant issue for us. So I would like to see some language change. I'd like to see the Board of Trustees actually hear a more comprehensive view of what we're doing here at USM. It's just, and it's not just about USM. I don't believe our Board of Trustees fully understand the incredible value that comes out of this for the citizens of the state of Maine and out of this university. So I just really want to endorse what Terry is saying. So thank you.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to sit here and get into a back and forth on a report that most of you haven't read and I'm not the author of, and none of us have had a chance to sit down together with it. However, I can say part of this is likely my fault, and that is some of it to do with the language, the original language of the charge, because it was not the intent, my intent in commissioning this, that we would do a system-wide comprehensive accounting of every kind of research and scholarship that the universities do across the board. It is heavily weighted, and this gets into some of these, whether it's definitional or more contentful questions that come up. But it was designed especially to do 2 things, or to be measured in 2 ways, and they'll reflect what it was designed to do. One is that by all accounts, the amount of money that is invested in a state by public or private institutions in terms of what Glenn calls bench research, is an important indicator and also foundational builder, catalyzer of economic activity in the state. So it was designed to say, how do we raise that, or it was intended, excuse me, at least, to design to say, what's the plan for increasing that number across the state? Now, and here I'm not speaking for anybody else, this is my own impression on this. We do know the work that Cutler does, or that you do here throughout. I'll use Cutler as the example. And there's no diminishment of the import or the accounting of that work and the output of that work for the reasons that Glenn just stated. So that's absolutely should be understood as a given. The question is the question I would put to all of us, myself included, as we look at this material, is is it apples and oranges in the sense that is that activity, which has its own critical value and importance, measured appropriately next to the kind of, again, bench research that Glenn mentioned in terms of raising those economic development numbers? We don't have time. This is not the forum to answer that question, but I would ask you as you look at that question, because it is a very serious point that Terry raises and Glenn amplifies, to look at it with that background in mind, and then say, rather than saying we were left out or we were left in or this was in that, how are both accounted for in the proper format? The second way that the measurements come out of this, in addition to the basic research expenditures, is what's called the Herd rankings. And the Herd rankings do not recognize, and these are national rankings, they do not recognize, for their own reasons, and it's no defense, but the kind of activity that Glenn is mentioning, don't enter into that, because HERD is meant to measure the kinds of activities I was talking about earlier. And so when the charge goes out, irrespective of all the other things that are going on, increase that baseline economic activity, the research that's going to ground that, and one way to measure that is through the expenditures and through the HERD rankings. Of course, the work that Cutler does is going to be either misunderstood or not there at all. But then the question is that the right measurement for that piece? And take the discussion from there rather than, I hope you will take the discussion from there rather than a trap we've all fallen into sometimes in the past over various topics. Well, there's Orono and there's Portland, and they're going to duke it out somehow, and there's going to be winners and losers, and that's not the way anybody's going to move forward on this.
I think, just to finish that part of the discussion, I think our concern is that the implications for not recognizing outflow research, which we believe add an enormous amount of value to the problems facing Maine, could ultimately misunderstood. So if an average legislature were to say, oh, well, most of the research is actually happening up at Orono because we've defined it through the HERD rankings and through bench research, therefore we should shift our resources there, whereas they missed the point. And we just want to make sure that we're reflected in the report, we want to be reflected in front of the Board of Trustees, that we can show what the incredible added value of our work is. Now, the alternative to using the HERD report is to use grants and contracts. And then something really begins to shift in our measurements, because then suddenly USM is literally 50% of what Orono is without the additional appropriation. That means that we're showing exceptional muscle beyond our weight class, so to speak, in our ability to produce. And that actually raises some great questions. I don't think Orono's that interested in seeing it that way. We're interested in seeing it that way. Now, what I would suggest is that we make sure that we have a well-rounded portfolio that really shows differently than just HERD. You can say, look, if you use HERD, this is what you get. If you use grants and contracts, this is what you get. I just think that it's not balanced in the report yet. We'd ask your help in getting it more balanced.
Well, we have to be careful here, because the report was not intended to be that comprehensive piece. The report was commissioned with the intention of increasing the bench research on those pieces. So I would say, and I think maybe we're saying something close or at least compatible, is I don't see the report expanding to become the comprehensive piece. That was not its charge. That was not the work that was being done. Does there need to be a piece that reflects what you said in whatever format and in whatever form these things can come together? No argument there. The work that's being done here needs to be reflected in that. But we have to look to the charge of that piece, and to some degree, I mean, we can look at the title of it, but to some degree, some of these questions are about that.
Okay. Well, that makes perfect sense, and that's good clarification. If the report is about HERD rankings and traditional bench research, that's fine. I just asked for a forum for us to make sure that we look at other ways in which you can contribute to research.
You're very good at finding and using those forums.
That's good.
Microphone's coming.
Hello, my name is Hamdi, and I am a senior. I'm here today because I just wanted to express some concerns that I have and some of my classmates have, but they can't be here today because they have classes. So we wanted to know, it has nothing to do with this topic, but we never see the chancellor, so we thought it would be a good idea to come here. So recently, a lot of students on campus have been experiencing racism and ignorant comments being said to them, and we don't really have a lot of faculty members that we can go to get support, because some of them are not trained in topics like that. And just a few days ago, my friend and I, we were told that we were somehow showcasing extremist actions because we wanted to educate a white student who was saying things about our religion and how it's not peaceful. And all we have tried to do is educate this particular student. And then like we had the police called on us and we didn't even know why. And then we got a no contact order, basically saying that we can't have contact with that student and he can't have contact with us. But what's crazy is that like, why should we be the ones getting no contact order when we didn't do anything wrong, when it's the student who's the aggressor? We wanted to know like if USM can invest in more resources to educate students like this and to train faculty members about issues like this so that us students don't have to like put so much time into educating students who make ignorant comments because we don't want to get backlashes like what happened with the no contact order. USM, I've had great experiences here, honestly, and of course some bad experiences, but I'm glad I went to the school because I got an education here, and like I came here as a refugee 13 years ago to Maine, and I love the state, and there's people who come from different places all over the world to Portland, and it's a really diverse place, and a lot of students want to attend USM. But if we have problems here and we're not addressing these issues, how do we expect those students to come here and have a good experience when outside, like we're already dealing with racism and Islamophobia, and our country is so divided in these days, and we just want to have a better experience here. And I'm a strong person, like I can handle it, but I worry about like the sophomores and freshmen. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And for two things. First of all, thank you for speaking up today. And I'm very sorry that you've had the kind of experiences. I know they happen. And I will say that the administration here is as attentive to these matters as any that I've come across. They're an attempt to be always responsive to these challenges and to these concerns. From a system point of view, anything we can do to back the administration here up in their work and support that in their work to address the kinds of issues you've talked about, we will do. It is something that is best approached on the campus level, the people who are right here and working with this and see the situation day in and day out. And then, as we have been doing, exporting that so that all of our campuses learn from one another. And we've had, our students and others have had experiences on the various campuses that are unfortunate. And we are trying to learn from each other and support one another. But you have a great leadership team here who is committed to those kinds of outcomes that you just articulated. Anything we can do to support them, to support you, we want to hear about it, we want to learn, and we want to support you.
Just would add that, Hamdi, I thank you for saying what you did. What you're getting at is a deeper root cause issue, and so we have taken some major strides in directly addressing it. I see our Chief of Police here, Noel Marsh, thank you for joining us. So we have done a lot around trying to drill down fast on issues of direct racial statements or harassment or things that we know are inappropriate, and creating a safer environment. So that's one thing. But what you're talking about is something deeper and something bigger, which I appreciate, which is, does every student that comes into the university get an experience where they broaden their understanding of what it means to live in a society in which race is a major challenge for all of us in terms of how we treat each other, and for us to understand the fundamental experiences, or at least some of the things that every educated person needs to know to be effective around their inclusion. Now, this is a moral issue. What we're also finding out, it's a huge workforce issue, right? If you can't work with people who you don't, necessarily understand or work with, and you can't collaborate, you're not an effective worker. So the question for USM is, how do we build into our early experiences that students have here a real deep understanding of how we get along together, how we collaborate and we understand each other. We understand race, and we understand the history of race, and we understand issues of sexual identity, that we understand issues of diversity. Those are much deeper issues, and quite frankly, I think we've got much more work to do. I think you've hit on something that I think, as the provost and I talk about this, we need to do a lot more to bring every student through a set of experiences and conversations and dialogues that improves their ability to do that. So I think we have a lot more to do. We'll say that we are trying to be more effective on an immediate response level, and thank you for the leadership of Chief Marsh.
Bob is.
This is actually a question from somebody who's watching live stream, and he asks, when good jobs are plentiful, many choose to work instead of attending college. How will this play out with the need for a more highly educated workforce?
Yeah, Federal Labor Bureau, I'm looking at, where's Jean? She may have more recent or updated knowledge on this, but right now the Federal Labor Bureau says that a student entering the workforce, a young person entering the workforce now can expect to change jobs 12 times in their career. And that's not promotion within their company, it's changing major positions. We're going to have to, we must, and you all know the rate that skill sets and what's current today will be outmoded in 3 years, what transfers, what doesn't, how all of that's going to be. We're going to have to work with learners where they are geographically, but even more, perhaps more importantly, where they are in terms of their cycle, if you will, in their professional trajectory. So someone may need a degree now, but they may need, and they may want a master's 5 years from now, but they may need continual upgrades in certain skills, either as they progress through their job or they look to move to another, and they can't come back for a degree. They are going to come back for some smaller subset of learning which can be memorialized appropriately, whether it's in a credential or something else, and there's all the discussion, you all are getting familiarity with that, stackable credentials and all the rest. But we have to not just provide those, but make clear to all the workers in the state that those resources are available to them anywhere they are at any time in their career. Now that's a goal, it's a stretch, it's an aspirational goal, but that's what we should be shooting for. Whether somebody's 28 years old in Portland or 40 years old in Rumford, if they have a goal that we can work with to advance them in their place in the workforce or in life or however it will be, we have to meet them there. And so to the person who emailed in on that, I would say absolutely. Part of our job is to ensure that the processes, the advising, let alone the actual programs itself, are set up to meet people now from junior year in high school right through retirement age.
Yeah, and just to pick up on that excellent question. So first of all, I often tell people who say, well, I'm working right now, and I say, finish your degree to inoculate yourself against the next recession, right? There are two things we know about capitalism. One, it's incredibly productive, and two, it's incredibly unstable, right? So especially as we've seen the modern versions of capitalism. So we're definitely going to have future recessions, and that means you're better off to get your degree. Why an employer might actually pay for your tuition, right? So inoculate yourself now, get that degree, why the times are good, not how humans think, but it's often the best advice we can give students. Totally agree with the chancellor. Are we doing everything we can to be the kind of university that makes it easy for somebody who's working 40, 50 hours a week, has children, has responsibilities, and still needs to get that degree? The answer is not. The answer is we can do better. But the good news is we have a number of things that we are definitely moving on. Online education is one of them. It's a necessary component for a lot of students, especially going back for graduate school or finishing the degree. We're pushing forward in that. I think the chancellor would agree we're probably the system leaders right now and moving forward on some initiatives, working with online provider to try to get into our graduate programs more deeply that people have access by online. Other things is exactly what he talked about, the advising, the type of the ways that we talk with people, the flexibility that we offer, the kind of professors that will understand what somebody who's working full-time is about. So I think there's a lot more to do. I think we can definitely say we've got some things to brag about, but we have a lot more to do.
What's the time?
11:25.
Time for one, maybe two more questions. Bob, nothing else from coming in from the? I can make one up. Well, oh, shoot. The mic's coming.
I was just thinking of the Honor Society Phi Kappa Phi. Last night had a great speaker from UMaine, and he said, carpe diem's the main thing. So strike while the iron's hot is what I'm thinking of. With the current legislature, with our new governor, who would you say, or like what initiatives would you say we should be striking while the iron's hot? Finding our true moments to shine right now.
Well, I can say, if you line up the leadership of the governor, you get some variation where they would put their priorities, but everybody that I've talked to in there is certainly concerned with two things. One of them is workforce. How do we train up everything, our people, so that they will be more stable and more competitive, more stable in the way Glenn meant, more competitive in the marketplace going forward. They're all thinking about ways to do that. The second element is student debt and the cost of education. We're really good at that. I mean, we can be better, but we're really good at that. And in fact, today, there is a material coming out from my office, but it reflects the progress that each campus has made in terms of the system, first of all, in keeping cost of education down. So our cost of that has increased less than 1% cumulative in the last 5 years for students. At the same time, we have transferred enormous amounts of resources into scholarship and other forms of aid. You folks have led the way in a lot of that. It means that now, for our average student, the majority of their costs are now being covered in terms of scholarship and aid instead of debt. That's huge. There's a lot of material coming out on this. I'd encourage you to look at it because it's things the community needs to know. There are, and thank you for the question, it's going to put me just for a moment on a soapbox here. There are there's a lot of discussion going on right now about debt forgiveness, and that's fine. I have no problem with debt forgiveness as long as it isn't confused with not accruing that debt in the first place. It's one thing it's a tractor and retainer if you've got $40,000 in debt to be able for you and your employer to pay that off through tax breaks and all of the rest. But if you're, frankly, and this is more important perhaps for rural Maine, but if you're in rural Maine and you have $40,000 in debt, you probably can't stay in that community to discharge it. You're going to have to move to Portland. Good for Portland, bad for Rumford, bad for Mars Hill. So one of the things that we are really striking while the iron's hot is to get that right balance between keeping costs down so that the debt is never accrued and having a robust but reasonable workforce attractor in the form of debt forgiveness and making those work together. If we can make those work together, we got a winning combination here in the state that can be a really big deal. If we are just fighting over the same piece of pie for what people think are the same reasons, that's not going to work out so well. So I would say in the legislature, it's workforce / educational attainment, because I think that's how you solve the workforce, and student debt reduction. And I think those are reflected in the governor's budget and the priorities for that budget.
It's a good question. I mean, just I'll say for the University of Maine system, the 3% increase from the governor's budget is a sizable step forward. And thank you, Ryan, for volunteering on the transition team to make sure that happened. It was a big step for us. I will say the USM doesn't fare that well. We're not getting a great appropriation increase. We're hoping this time. We're hoping that the criteria, no, this is not a complaint. It's just we don't fare that well because under the rules of the new criteria, We didn't get a huge surge. We're not going to get anywhere near 3%, but we're hoping that next year as the criteria shifts a little bit, or as our demographics within that criteria shift a little bit, we'll do better in the following year, which would be fantastic. So and by the way, this is, and we owe something, a big debt. I don't want the Chancellor to leave and Ryan to leave without us saying this. You know, since 1965, that formula for how resources are distributed has been locked in a way that clearly we've never been able to break until the last few years, which new money into that pot is now reallocated on things that are more sensitive to the actual needs of each campus. That's a huge shift forward for USM, who's always felt like we had the ability to grow and to do things, and yet we were trapped by a funding formula that really didn't recognize that need or help us with this. Now, new monies coming in does help us with that, and that is a huge achievement, and I can tell you, nobody believed that was going to happen, so we really thank you. Thank you for that. So.
I'll end, make my final word on something I've said here before, and now we're further down that road. You know, when I came in 7.5 years ago, we were trying to figure out how to survive. We're not there now. We have to be careful, but we're not there now. Now we have to say, how do we invest wisely? That's a really different place to be in. This campus feels differently because of that. I can assure you that your sister campuses have that same change underway in different scales and in different ways. The investments have to be done really carefully. They have to show that they're going to achieve these priorities, but you are in control, as long as you do it right, are in control of that process now. You know, make it work. You can do it. It'll be great. And maybe that's the place to end. Thank you.
Thank you.